Welcome to episode 39 of Behind the Shield. Today we talk with junior women's tennis captain Chloe Doyle. Hello again, everybody. Scott Geis joining you for another episode of Behind the Shield. Today we touch on a number of topics with Chloe, including being a member of SAC, what it's like to be one of the leaders on the women's tennis team, and how the tennis team is unique and where they're located on campus. So after this commercial break, we'll talk to Chloe Doyle.
You've probably heard a lot about changes on campus, about how classes will look a little different, or how the dining hall won't be set up like it was last year. You may have heard we'll be living with a new normal. But the truth is, at York College of Pennsylvania, normal has never been our thing. If by normal you mean predictable, usual, commonplace, average, that's not us. Our normal is extraordinary, exceptional, remarkable. Our normal is about taking responsibility, thinking of others, and treating people with respect. Here, normal means being compassionate. It means protecting the person next to us to ensure safety and good health for all of us, because we know we're in this together. For us, wearing masks and social distancing aren't really a new normal. They're just another example of what's always been important to us. Joining efforts to find real solutions to achieve our goals, to help our community thrive, and to show that we care. That's not a new normal. That's our normal, and we are grateful that you're a part of it. Welcome home, Spartans.
Welcome to episode 39, Behind the Shield. We are joined by women's tennis player Chloe Doyle. Chloe, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So we start off, usually everybody, we talk about what you've been up to now that you're back on campus this fall. How has your semester gone? What's it like being back? How are you doing with it?
So far it's actually been pretty good. I do have a couple in-person classes, so there is some sort of normalcy there as compared to like last spring when we were sent home. It was very out of the ordinary. My classes are going pretty well. It's definitely still a bit of an adjustment because there are days where I am just in my dorm pretty much just on the computer all day, which is not what I'd prefer, but I'm a biology major, so I still do have labs that are in person, and that is definitely really great to actually get to do like hands-on work and have hands-on experience with that sort of thing.
How important is it to not only be in class because that's the way you learn best, but from a social standpoint of having class with other people as opposed to just seeing people on the screen?
Mm-hmm. I definitely think there's a big difference in how communication works. In a classroom, you're kind of forced to interact and talk, but when you're on Zoom, you can easily just mute yourself or turn your camera off. And even if instructors and teachers ask you to turn your camera on, most people still have it off, or it's just not the same. So a lot of my classes are conversation based, so that is kind of hard to do over Zoom sometimes when people aren't really participating as much as they probably would be in class. And even myself, I think I participate more when I'm in person in class, like surrounded by a bunch of people. So
how hard was it last spring to go from, normal, boom, all of a sudden you're home and you're on Zoom all the time? How much of an adjustment was that for you as a student?
It was a huge adjustment for me. I think everybody can pretty much say the same thing about that. All my labs were then online, so it was definitely hard to understand some certain things because you're not actually doing it yourself. You just kind of have to watch a video of someone else doing it and like hope that you can get all the information you need from it. There was days where I was just sitting in my room at my desk doing work all day when normally I would be walking around campus at least to like get fresh air, walking from class to class, seeing my friends, even tennis, obviously, that we couldn't practice at all or have any matches. So that was definitely hard to adjust to not having any of that.
How hard was it to lose your season? You guys had yet to compete in the spring. You had a good fall season. You're coming back, you have a bunch of seniors, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just ends. How hard was it, one, for you to not be able to play tennis, and then two, to have to see your senior classmates not be able to play and finish their careers?
Mm-hmm. Me personally, it was definitely very hard not being able to play, obviously you need at least one other person to play tennis with. And when I was sent home, there wasn't really much I could do myself in a sense. So obviously just like seeing everyone every day and then not being able to see everyone every day, it was definitely really hard. And tennis is something I'm pretty passionate about. So not getting the time and the coaching experience, or like the experience from getting coached by our coach, it was definitely a huge change. And especially for our seniors, like I'm lucky enough that this didn't happen my senior year, but my doubles partner was a senior, so we didn't even get to play our last season together, which was hard for me, but definitely harder for her and the rest of the seniors.
So you've been back on the court this fall, had a little bit break the last couple weeks, but how has it been going? How is it like to have everybody back on campus and doing drills? And it seems like, I got to stop over at practice and it seemed like you guys are looking really good. How has the fall practice season been going?
I think it's been going pretty well, actually. Obviously, we did lose seniors, and it's definitely very different when you lose some of your top players and the people you really look up to. And we don't have any seniors this year, so it's just the juniors that are sort of like taking over that leadership role. So it was definitely a big jump from going to someone that you looking up to people and then now being someone that people look up to. I think that was one of the biggest changes, but we definitely got some really good new players that came in, and it's always nice to have like a new set of faces to practice with, and there's just a whole different dynamic now, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely really different. But even with all the restrictions in place, I think we're all just grateful that we did get to play and have some sort of normalcy return.
You talk about the difference in going from an underclassman now to one of the older players on the team. Is that something you enjoy? Do you like having more of a leadership role within the team, or is it something you're just kind of learning that is growing on you, or you're learning to do in a different way?
It's definitely different, and it's not a bad thing. I do like people looking up to me. I am the team captain this year as well, so that was a huge new role that I had to take on me, like personally, and it's not something that's completely new to me because I was a senior in high school at once, so there was like underclassmen then looking up to me, so it's not something that's foreign, but it's definitely just different because I was never used to like being someone that people look up to here, at least.
So what are the tennis program's kind of unique because you guys kind of are off by yourself. You're not on, you're not with the rest of the athletic complex. You're out with your own facility. How do you guys get together? Is it a pretty close team? Is it a program that you guys kind of rely on each other? How does that work with the tennis squad?
I mean, under normal circumstances, we would always get together like after practices had stopped. If the weather was still nice, we would still go out and hit. We would go to the dining hall because it's right next to main campus's dining hall, and we would have dinner after practice sometimes. We used to go bowling a lot with the team, go to Rita's, stuff like that. So obviously a lot of that stuff we can't really do now this semester, and even a little bit in the spring we couldn't really do that too much. And but we're all pretty close, I'd say, and we're still trying to find ways to still stay in touch with each other, but it's definitely hard, especially with the past 2 weeks.
Is that hard then to integrate your freshmen? You said you had a number of newcomers that are promising and that have a chance to be pretty good. Does that hurt a little bit the culture because you can't necessarily bring them in and do all the things that you normally would do under, I'd say normal circumstances?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely very hard. During practices is really the only time we would get to talk to them and interact with them, and they were all so nice, and they're definitely a great addition to the team, but it's definitely, they're not receiving the same like welcoming treatment that I received when I was a freshman, because just we can't all get together like we used to and just hang out and get to know each other.
Another victim of COVID-19 for sure.
Yeah.
That's just it's a tough thing, and there's no way to get around it. We're trying the best to stay in school, and unfortunately that has been a victim. What are some of your favorite things about being part of the program? Obviously, you've had some time in, you had one normal season, and then to be able to had last year cut short. But what are some of the things that you really enjoy about being part of the tennis program?
I definitely think the tennis program is a little different than the rest of the sports. Not that I would necessarily know because I'm not a part of any other sports, but I just think that the team just has a very different dynamic than a lot of the other teams have. And when I show up to practice, I'm never like stressed about the practice. And I think the team is a little more relaxed and it's more of a stress reliever than anything. So I definitely like that the way things are run in that aspect.
So we're moving to the MAC, hopefully soon. I mean, we're in the MAC, but hopefully we get to compete soon. How much of a difference will that be for you guys? Obviously, the long trips to CNU and Mary Wash and Salisbury are, a thing of the past. And I think from a competition standpoint, it's probably a lot more balanced. Is that something you guys are excited about?
Yes, we're definitely very excited because obviously we won't have to spend as much time on buses and traveling. So there's a lot of nursing majors in are on the tennis team, and they a lot of times they just like don't have time to like dedicate like 6 hours taking a bus somewhere and then 6 hours back. It's like a whole weekend almost. And even for me, I'm getting into some like upper division classes, so it's definitely more time consuming. So traveling the shorter distances is definitely a huge plus for us. And like ability wise and competition wise, I definitely think it'll be more balanced. We do play some of the teams in like, or we have played them previously for like non-conference matches, and now they'll be included for the conference matches in the MAC. So I definitely think it's more balanced. We definitely have much better, evenly played matches when we do play those teams.
I can't wait. I think it's going to be exciting. I think you guys are going to you're going to have an opportunity to be in the mix, which,
Definitely.
Realistically didn't happen in the CAC.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a different league. So excited about that. I want to kind of switch directions here. You're a member of the SAC, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved and some of the things that organization means to you.
Mm-hmm. So from my understanding, the SAC used to be a smaller committee and there wasn't representation from every single team, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. They just kept it a little bit smaller. But this year they really expanded it to try and get one representative from every single team. So I think it was over the summer and the spring, my coach emailed me and he just asked if I would like to be the representative for the tennis team. And I said yes, obviously. And we've had a couple meetings so far. We had some in the spring as well. So that was really nice to sort of just see how things worked and see like the dynamic and what SAC could do. Now being on the committee, I really do like that the tennis team now has representation because physically we are like the tennis courts aren't on West Campus where everything is. And I feel like that did sort of set us apart and sort of we just weren't necessarily a part of the whole community in a sense, but now I think with the SAC, we are a little more integrated into athletics at York, and we do have more of a say in what sort of goes on with the student athletes.
Yeah, I think I think the SAC has been under the leadership of Dave Boslow and Matt Day have been doing some fantastic things, and I think it's important that you guys have a voice and that you guys have representation. And I think is it interesting to get different perspectives of different athletes? Like you said, you guys are kind of out a little bit. Is it interesting to hear stories from other teams about some of the things that they're doing?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And I think like that, again, just sort of me being part of that conversation does integrate us in and sort of make us part of the whole athletic department more than I think we were in the past. And just interacting with the other representatives from the other teams sort of brings all the teams together. So even when we're not talking about necessarily athletics, we do a lot of other initiatives for I think we did one for mental health in the past, and just recently we did one for voter registration. So it's really nice that people from a bunch of different sports at your college can come together and then provide all the teams with resources for many different things like the voting and the mental health initiatives.
I think they've been great. Well,
Mhm.
Chloe, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We're very excited to get a chance to talk to you and to shine a light on the tennis program, which certainly I think goes a little underrepresented at your college, but we're glad to have you along with us. And thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, great.
At York College, we are proud of the fact that we have over 30 cultures and 30 countries represented among our campus community. We not only are proud of that fact, we celebrate the unique perspective and differences that each and every person on this campus brings to us. So on behalf of all of us at York College, I want you to know that you are welcomed here.
Tu eres bienvenido aquí. Vous êtes bien reçu ici. You're very welcome here.
You are welcome here.
You are welcome here.
Você está bem-vindo aqui.
You are welcome here.
You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You're welcome here.
معكم رقية آل الشيخ من كلية يورك في بنسلفانيا. أنتم مرحب بكم هنا. We are welcome.
From day one at your College of Pennsylvania, you are welcome here.
We want to thank Chloe for taking the time to talk to us today. Certainly great to catch up with her and get her feelings on a lot of different topics. And we thank her for taking the time to join us. We'll be back next week with some fresh episodes. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Spartans.